Hello, welcome back to PlayStation Access. My name is Dave, and I am joined today by the brave, illustrious Rosie.
Oh, thank you for calling me brave. But hello, everyone.
No worries, Rosie. Yeah, the praise is delivered because you have been playing Silent Hill 2, the remake on PS5, so that I didn't have to. And that makes me so happy.
I'm doing it all for you, Dave, all for you.
I believe you. It looks way too scary for me, but I am, as always, with horror, intrigued. I can't help myself. And Silent Hill 2 is such a sort of prestigious title. I'm really intrigued to hear how you've been getting on with it, how you think it compares to the original, what you like about it, really.
I think, I will just say, Dave, first of all, I do think Silent Hill 2 is a kind of horror game that you genuinely will be very intrigued by.
Don't try and trick me.
And it's not a trick, it's a genuine, honest thing. It's not as if it's, got like spooks around. Yes, there are a couple of jump scares and moments like that, but it's not as if it's all monsters and like ghouls, like Resident Evil 2 with all of its zombies.
Yeah.
It's very much more sort of slower and psychological, and you're picking up pieces, and there's loads of puzzles you solve. So I genuinely think that if you did delve into this, you will feel uneasy, but I think you'll be more intrigued to be like, oh, but what happens? What does this mean? What happens next?
Yeah.
But you are right. I have been having a very good time with it because, of course, if there's anything with remake in the title, Rosie's there. So I played the original a couple of years ago because I like playing at the moment a Silent Hill 2 game every October.
Yes.
Because it's like the spooky season. So it's beautiful timing that Silent Hill 2's come out in this window.
So they planned it.
How they planned it, just for me. So, of course, when I'm playing it, it's taking me back to moments from the original. But also, one thing I really like about this remake is that it does do new things as well.
Yeah.
So it does follow the basic story beats of the original game. However, for example, there are new puzzles that you have to figure out, or there are some moments where an event happens, but it might not be quite how you remember it, or it gets done in a different way. So you're still, when you kind of pick up on this, you're like, okay, it does put you back on edge again because, for example, the first enemy you encounter in the original, it's quite an iconic moment when you're just walking towards Silent Hill, the town, and then you see like a little tunnel, and then, there's something there that doesn't look quite human, and it's a bit intense. But when you approach there this time, it's sealed off, but you know exactly that that's meant to be the tunnel where you have your first enemy encounter. So I think the game very early on says, like, we know that you thought this was a thing, but it's not quite.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like. And also, when you do approach these moments, there's like a little button prompt, and when you press that, the camera sort of pans out into a more of just like an establishment scenic shot, and you have like a little nice nostalgic sound effect of like boing or something. I can't do that sound effect, but it's just a really nice moment, as if again the game's or the developer is like, we know that this is a very iconic bit, and we know that you remember this. Or sometimes it's like, do you remember this? Do you remember this element of the game?
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
This town's full of monsters. Who could just sit here and eat pizza?
I just think as well that this remake has nailed the vibe of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
So even though I've already played it, there's still moments where, when there are moments that are happening that I do know are going to happen, my heart still feels like it's racing a bit because of the atmosphere the remake has built up. When you get really into the zone of Silent Hill 2, like I've been playing it with curtains shut, lights off, to get really involved in the atmosphere, you do really get just taken away by the unnervingness of the whole thing. So it's been having that vibe throughout it. For example, if you're even going up a set of stairs, then suddenly you hear like a stair creak or something, like a metallic stair. It's just enough that still you're like, ooh, and then you're a bit uneasy because you don't know if there's a ghoul happening. You've got the radio sound effects, which just because I know you don't know, you haven't played Silent Hill, Dave, but when there's like an enemy coming close, you hear like a static radio.
Right, okay.
And this now comes through your dual sense as well.
Oh no.
So there's been many moments where I've been in my living room and then suddenly my dual sense is just going crazy and I'm there like, heart starting to race.
Yes.
But also then I'm on guard because I'm immediately like, right, where's the threat? What's happening? So it's got that atmosphere down, and also the visuals. The visuals have been probably my favorite part of the game so far.
Yeah.
The visuals in Silent Hill, the series, have always been my favorite part of the whole franchise because I'm very interested to see how horror creators create the horror.
Yeah.
And Silent Hill 2 is very much like the sort of vibe of it's familiar, but it's a very horrific version of the familiar.
Oh, wow.
So you kind of have like two versions of, for example, the apartment building when you first go in there, because Silent Hill is just an abandoned town at this point. So when you first go into some apartment buildings, it's still like eerie because things are run down, windows are all boarded up, and there's sofas that have just got, sheets over them as if they've been abandoned and people have left. And it's darkly lit, so it's still, it's not the happiest place when you first go there. But then when you go into the other world side of things, it's the same. However, it's all rusty. The lighting is very piercing reds and orange and browns. And suddenly there's areas that you go into and there's now a massive hole in the middle of the floor, so you can't venture past there. But, you look down and you see nothing. The visuals, I do think the remake has made me have that same feeling of, oh, this is cool, or oh, this looks terrifying. And also just exploring Silent Hill, like the town itself, because that is a big element of the game when you're going from, like, you've got sections of the game, like you have the apartment building just for the first one, and then you have the hospital. So those are like where I kind of break down the game into like the main segments, but in between them, you still have to traverse to get there. And that's when you run around Silent Hill. And I've actually been having a really good time running around Silent Hill. The fog has been really spooky. And I feel like they've done a balance between having the intensity of the fog, but also kind of making it so it's more inviting to explore optional areas. Because, for example, you can see the Bolorama, which you might know from the original has like a scene in it, but now because of the way that they've sort of made them more inviting and because the camera angle's now changed as well, I see that and I think more like, oh, or even if it's just like a flower shop at the beginning of the game, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to explore this area. And then a lot of times you can, but in Silent Hill fashion, a lot of times you run up to doors and then they're all locked. The amount of times James has just run to a door and goes like, oh, like because it's just a locked door. But I'm also happy they've got that because that is Silent Hill 2's like charm. Everything's a locked door. So it's been really interesting to actually explore more of Silent Hill and as always with remakes, just to see how they've done things slightly different or how they've reimagined iconic scenes, how they've recreated them and with PS5 polish. Even something as simple as, which I really like this, but when there's a moment you're outside in the rain, haptic feedback, you can feel the rain on your DualSense as well. I know it's like, a few games have done this already, but I'm always like, oh, yeah, I'm in the rain.
We can still enjoy it.
It's still some spooky rain. Also, I love the mechanic of James smashing windows. Like, it's very much got the vibe of, as soon as I learnt I could do it and I learnt I could smash car windows, I felt like the naughty boys in Pinocchio when they go to the theme park then they're all like, yay, we're going to cause havoc. James has just gone into this abandoned town. He's just smashing every car window.
Might as well.
It's also beneficial as well because there are some puzzle elements with exploring where you can't, if the door's locked, it might be that actually smashing a window is how you get into the building as well. So the game does encourage you to don't just necessarily go from point A to point B. It actually encourages you to be like, hey, look around the edges and see what items you can find. And even then there might be some spooks, like there might be some enemies that are just trying to hide from you, and then you go to explore and then they're like, James. And also the enemy designs, very familiar with the original as well. Every design I've seen, I've been like, you know what, this just does look like a modern version as well. And I love how I'm doing my same tactic that I did with the original Silent Hill 2, where yes, I pick up a gun and I've picked up a shotgun, but in my game, I haven't touched the shotgun at all, and the bullets I've only used for boss fights, but that's purely because I know that when boss fights do happen, they can be intense, and I'm like, right, saving my ammo for the boss fights, everything else I'm just using my wooden stick or my pipe and stuff like that. And the combat I found it quite rhythmic and like a little puzzle in itself. Because it's very much, it's not as if you can always stun them. Like if they're coming in for an attack on you, then that's it. They're going in for that attack. And if you don't plan ahead for that, James is going to get slapped in the face. So it's a lot more like rhythmic than I thought it was going to be. So for example, the hoodie creatures, which are ones which like look like they're wearing, I think they're actually, the design is based on people wearing hoodies with their hoods up and hands in their pocket. I very much got into the rhythm of like, hit them 1, 2, dodge back because I anticipate an attack, and then I go back in for the charge.
Sure.
Because if you just go in there recklessly, you're going to have a bad time because your health's going to go down, especially when there's 2 enemies and they just do not care about James. They are just both of them going at him. So then you need to create some distance and try and get one at a time. So there is a lot to think about with the combat as well. Also, just what I said, like, that's a part of it's puzzling to figure out the rhythm of the enemies.
Yeah.
The new puzzles as well, I'll just say, they're really interesting. It's got, like, the same vibe of Silent Hill puzzles, but they're just new ones, which I'm really enjoying as well. And also just with the characters, I think they've done, like, some scenes they've done really well. There's some scenes where I've seen and I'm like, oh yeah, this is getting the vibe of Silent Hill 2. So just essentially revisiting it again. I'm having a really good spooky time with it. It feels weird saying I'm having a really good time when the game is very heavy. It's very psychological. It's, you know, it's not for the faint of heart, but that's exactly what you go into Silent Hill 2 for. You go into it for a stressful, horrific time. So yeah, that's like my overall thoughts on what I enjoy about the Silent Hill 2 game, which is coming out on the 8th of October as well, so it's not long to wait at all.
No, I've only got a few more days of safety before the likelihood of someone asking me to play it is highly increased. You've done a good job. I mean, you did say it's horrific and heavy and people go in there for a stressful time, but I'm still intrigued. I love puzzles.
Yeah.
And I think also the idea of the combat being a bit more tactical and being rewarded for learning movesets and things like that and thinking and slowing down a little bit does definitely appeal to me. But I can't see me getting into it. I'll be honest, Rosie. It just looks too scary to me. But I am intrigued, and I'd like to watch. I'm going to watch this video when you've made it, and I'm going to watch you play it at some point, I'm sure. And I am very intrigued to see new Pyramid Head.
New Pyramid Head. He's just a remade version of Pyramid Head. Like, the original design is already so iconic, and the remake, they've just absolutely nailed it again. Like, the design, it just looks like Pyramid Head but modern, and but that's exactly what it needed to be.
Definitely.
So it's Pyramid Head can get spooky, Dave.
Oh yeah, it definitely can. So just a few more days until October the 8th, and you can play Silent Hill 2 on PS5. Thank you, Rosie, for doing God's work, for playing Silent Hill 2 so I didn't have to, and letting us know what you've enjoyed about it. I'm sure there are a lot of Silent Hill 2 experts and hopefully some noobs as well who are really looking forward to getting their hands on it when it's out on October the 8th. So there you have it. Thanks very much for watching this video. Please do give it a like if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything from the world of PlayStation.
PlayStation